I want you to arrange a fake private plane crash for me, so I can leave Cliff smoothly. When Luna made this request, her best friend Paula was utterly shocked, wondering if she was hearing things, just like when she first heard the news of their marriage. A poor girl from the mountains and the golden heir of Z City's elite, two people from completely different worlds. No one could have imagined they would end up together. The crowd buzzed with speculation. Some guessed Cliff was chasing novelty. Others suspected he had an unattainable white moonlight in his heart. Luna was merely a substitute, and some even believed he married her on a dare. But 3 years into their marriage, Cliff proved through his actions that there was no other reason for their union. He simply loved Luna, and he loved her to the point of madness. Back then, Cliff fell for Luna at first sight and immediately launched an intense pursuit, in addition to sending gifts like flowing water. He donated tens of billions in Luna's name to major charities and built Hope primary schools worldwide, all uniformly named Luna Primary School. He hoped everyone in the world would know Luna, be grateful to Luna, so that if she ever encountered difficulties in the future, people everywhere would lend her a helping hand. To spend more time with Luna, he accompanied her in doing part-time jobs, food service, handing out flyers, sorting packages. The young master, who had never even washed his own clothes at home, gritted his teeth and endured it with her for 2 whole years. Those slender hands that once played the violin grew calloused all over. With this sincerity, he finally moved Luna. But the vast disparity in their family backgrounds made it impossible for their families to agree to their relationship. To gain his parents' approval, he endured 16 rounds of family discipline, beaten until his flesh was torn and bloody. His back still bears the scars from the whipping, but realizing this approach was futile, he outright renounced all inheritance rights and started from scratch, so no one could interfere with his freedom to love and marry. Friends in their circle thought he had lost his mind, a man usually so shrewd, now giving up a fortune that could last lifetimes, all for a woman. His family couldn't do anything about him, so they had to agree to his marriage with Luna. After marriage, he replaced all the staff around him with males. Even though Luna never asked for it, he still reported his itinerary in great detail and installed a tracking system to make it easier for Luna to check on him. Netizens exclaimed that this was divine love, the ultimate victory for pure romance enthusiasts. For a time, his pairing with Luna became explosively popular, even overshadowing numerous celebrities. But apart from Luna, no one knew that this seemingly perfect man had secretly fathered twins with another woman behind her back, establishing another family elsewhere. When she learned of this, Luna was so heartbroken that she vomited blood and fainted. Upon hearing the news, Cliff abandoned a multi-billion-dollar deal and rushed back to the country, tirelessly caring for her day and night for 2 days. Luna, when she woke up, he was anxiously waiting by the bedside, holding the 4-tube to warm the fluid inside. "You're awake, you scared me to death." Cliff pressed her hand to his face, nearly in tears. Back when he was doing business, he wouldn't even bat an eye if someone pointed a gun at his head. But when he heard Luna was vomiting blood, his legs went weak with panic. Gazing into his eyes filled with worry and anxiety, Luna felt her heart ache as if it were being torn apart. The love in his eyes couldn't be faked. He truly loved her, but had this man, who gazed at her with such genuine affection, also looked at Novia with the same tenderness and whispered sweet nothings to her. Novia was the woman he cheated with, and also his childhood sweetheart. Back when Cliff pursued Luna, news of it spread, and Novia led a group to bully Luna at school. She even went to the places where Luna worked to nitpick and humiliate her, ruining several of her jobs. She even hired thugs to assault Luna, but Cliff, who had come to confess his feelings, caught them in the act. At that time, he showed no regard for their family's long-standing friendship and directly drove the Fong family to bankruptcy. If not for his mother's intervention, he would have killed Novia several times over. Had she not seen those disgraceful videos and the paternity test report with her own eyes, Luna would never have believed that Cliff had cheated, let alone that the child was already a year old. Luna closed her eyes and turned her head away, tears streaming uncontrollably, soaking a large portion of the pillow. Cliff didn't see her tears, thinking she was just tired. "Luna, the doctor just examined you and found out you're 2 months pregnant. We're going to have our own child." The usually cold and reserved man was now overjoyed like a child. "Our wedding anniversary is in 5 days, and now you're pregnant. What a double blessing." Luna suddenly opened her eyes. As a child, she was kicked into an icy river by her father and soaked for a long time, which damaged her health. Many doctors said she would likely never be able to conceive in her lifetime. Because of this, the already dissatisfied Colton family parents gave her several cold shoulders. Since they were Cliff's parents, Luna endured it all. But Cliff couldn't bear to see her suffer for his sake. He said coldly, "Luna is the love of my life. The fact that she's willing to be with me is already more than I deserve from my past life's good deeds. If any of you dare to give her a hard time because of the child, then we'll sever our family ties and never interact again." Luna gently stroked her belly, unable to hold back any longer, and burst into sobs. Why did this child have to come at such an inopportune time? Cliff pulled her into his arms, whispering soothing words. "Why are you suddenly crying? Who upset you? Your husband will make them pay." But Luna now caught a faint, unfamiliar scent of perfume on him. Mixed with the smell of baby milk products, she suddenly pushed Cliff away and leaned over the bed to vomit. Cliff thought it was morning sickness and instinctively cupped his hands near her lips to catch it, not at all worried she might vomit on him. He looked at Luna with concern. Of course, he was happy about his wife's pregnancy, but when Novia was pregnant and gave birth, he had been by her side the entire time. He knew how much women suffered during pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum recovery. Luna stared blankly at Cliff. She knew he had severe mysophobia, yet he was willing to go this far for her. Even the clothes and shoes she wore daily were all hand-washed by him personally. He gave her 3 years of wholehearted love. Luna was the same. She truly couldn't live without him anymore. At that moment, she even considered abandoning her principles, thinking that as long as Cliff was willing to break things off with Novia, they could go back to how they were before. But the next moment, he received a message and left in a hurry, saying there was something urgent at work. Half an hour later, Luna received a photo from Novia. In the photo, Cliff was holding the twins, kissing their foreheads. This photo shattered all her illusions. After leaving the hospital, she went to find Paula and asked her to fake a plane crash. Because she knew Cliff would never agree to a divorce, let alone let her go, he would simply lose his mind. After returning from Paula's place, Luna immediately traveled to another province to schedule an abortion. The Colton family consists of influential figures with extensive connections. If she were in this city, Cliff would receive the news before she even entered surgery. Before entering the operating room, Novia sent her another video. The video lasted 2.5 hours, featuring Novia in sexy lingerie, Cliff in a sharp suit, with various stimulants placed on the nearby table, kitchen, desk, foyer. The two indulged in passionate encounters in every corner of the room. The Cliff in the video was a level of madness she had never seen before. Every scene in it wrenched her heart with pain. Yet like self-inflicted torture, she watched the entire video through. "Ma'am, it's time for your surgery now. But are you in a condition to proceed?" the doctor asked with concern. Luna then realized she was already in tears, trembling uncontrollably from crying. Her tears weren't just from sorrow, but from the realization that even knowing Cliff had cheated, she still couldn't sever her love for him. He was a living, breathing person, not a piece of clothing to be discarded at will. Cutting him out of her life would be like tearing open Luna's chest and ripping out her still-beating heart. Wiping her tears, she decided to give Cliff one last chance. She called Cliff. "Where are you now? I miss you. Can you come back?" Cliff's voice was tense, as if suppressing something. "Honey, there's something very important at the company tonight." He groaned abruptly. His speech suddenly hurried. "I won't be coming back tonight." With that, he hung up the phone. Luna stood frozen, tears streaming uncontrollably. He had never hung up on her before. This was the first time. A few minutes later, she closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and said, "I'm fine now. Proceed with the surgery." Late at night, she dragged her exhausted body home when her best friend Paula sent a message. "Baby, everything is arranged. We'll proceed in 2 days." Luna collapsed onto the bed. Throughout the night, she kept waking up crying after falling asleep. In the early hours, she sat in the dark hugging her knees until dawn. Early the next morning, Cliff returned. He took off his coat and waited for the chill to leave his body before walking over to Luna and embracing her. Then, he opened his tablet and pointed to an island. "Darling, look at this island. I just bought it for our child. Also, I've started building amusement parks in cities across the country, and in the future, they'll all be named after our child. When our baby is born, I'll host a 100-day feast to celebrate, inviting everyone to join in the joy." After finishing his excited speech, he realized that Luna hadn't said a word since he walked in. Suddenly, he heard her soft sobbing. Circling around to Luna's front, he realized she was already in tears. What's wrong? He had never seen Luna cry like this before, and for a moment, he panicked so much that his voice trembled. If Luna felt even a fraction of unhappiness, Cliff would experience 100-fold of that pain. Every emotion of hers would amplify endlessly within him. Watching her tears now, His heart ached as if being tightly gripped and pulled. I'm fine. Luna avoided his hand. Pregnant women are sometimes like this. They suddenly feel like crying. Really? Cliff finally relaxed. I'll stay home with you all day today. Okay, tell me what you'd like to eat. And I'll make it. No need. I have a class reunion at noon and plan to visit some mentors in the evening. You go ahead with your own schedule. Luna stood up. This time she was leaving the country, probably never to return. Meeting them once more before departure would serve as her farewell. Cliff didn't feel comfortable letting her go out alone and insisted on accompanying her. As soon as the two entered the private room for the class reunion, everyone burst into laughter. I told you Luna would come today. Cliff would definitely follow. He's always afraid Luna might get lost. Cliff smiled amiably, accepting everyone's teasing, and personally distributed the prepared gifts to each person. The crowd exclaimed. Oh my! This is the latest full set of jewelry from Chanel, worth 7 figures. Mr. Darcy always gives us such extravagant gifts. We're all benefiting from Luna's favor. Luna was very popular in college, and everyone present was her close friend. Cliff was also willing to put an effort to please them, because when they were happy, Luna would be happy too. Everyone secretly marveled at the immense power of love, which could turn Cliff, the unattainable flower on the high peak, into a sunflower that smiled at everyone. Luna, I really envy you for having such a loving husband. Upon hearing these words, Luna did not show the happy smile as before, but only smiled politely, while the private room was filled with laughter and joy. The door suddenly swung open. Novia appeared before everyone, adorned in dazzling jewels. How come no one informed me about the class reunion? Aren't we from the same class? Because Novia appeared, the atmosphere suddenly became tense. Yet she seemed oblivious to everyone's unwelcoming attitude, sitting down across from them on her own and then smilingly glancing at the gifts in everyone's hands. Shirley Snow, a very famous brand, but it seems like everyone doesn't know yet. This is the brand I founded, hers. Everyone was secretly wondering. Her family had been driven to bankruptcy by Cliff back then and couldn't survive anywhere in the country, so how could she still establish such a luxury brand, back then? My family did go through some hardships, but later I met my husband, 2 years ago. He invested tens of billions, leveraged his connections, and worked tirelessly to help me start a company, and not just this one. He set up 26 for me. As she spoke, Novia's gaze flickered almost imperceptibly over Cliff before she turned a slightly smile toward Luna. Luna felt her breath catch. She remembered a period 2 years ago when Cliff was particularly busy. At that time, he said the company was expanding into overseas markets, so he was a bit busy. But in reality, he was busy setting up a company for Novia. A sharp pain spread from her chest, and Luna couldn't help but clutch her chest. What's wrong, honey? Are you feeling unwell? Cliff immediately stood up nervously. I'll call the doctor, Novia sneered. Luna, Mr. Darcy has been coddling you like a precious treasure, yet you still look half dead like this. As soon as she finished speaking, Cliff's expression darkened abruptly, and he slapped her hard across the face. If you don't shut up and get out now, I'll make sure you never speak again. Novia covered her face, snorted, and left the private room unwillingly. As soon as she left, the atmosphere in the private room became lively again. But Luna's face remained as pale as ever. Cliff worriedly gripped her hand. Honey, where exactly are you feeling unwell? The doctor will be here soon. Luna pushed him away. I'm fine. I need to go to the restroom now. Don't follow me. As soon as she stepped into the hallway, Novia blocked her way and sneered. Don't think that just because Cliff hit me for you, you're so important in his heart. I've borne him a son and a daughter, and his heart is already leaning toward me. Do you believe that if I just say the kids have a fever, he'll come running to me? When Luna returned to the private room, Cliff's expression was indeed unusually anxious. He walked over and kissed Luna's forehead. Honey, I have an urgent matter and need to go back to the company. I've already informed the manager. All expenses will be charged to my account. You and your friends have fun. Luna tightly grabbed his sleeve. Didn't you promise to stay with me today? Please stay, okay? Looking into her eyes, half pleading and half calm, for some reason, Cliff suddenly felt a surge of panic in his heart. He sensed that if he left today, he would lose something very important. But Novia said their child was sick, that was his flesh and blood. He had to go check on them. In the end, he still pried open Luna's fingers one by one. Honey, I promise I'll come back to accompany you tonight. Okay. Luna took a deep breath, realizing that Cliff's heart was truly drifting away. Half an hour later, Novia sent her a video. Even though she knew what it would contain, Luna still clicked on it with trembling hands. In the video, Novia was tearfully complaining with grievance. I feel like I can't live a moment without seeing you. I only went to the class reunion because I couldn't bear missing you so much, but when I saw how loving you and Luna were, I was so jealous I almost went crazy, which is why I said those few bitter words, and you still hit me." Cliff smiled faintly. Clearly pleased by the situation, he brought a warm egg to soothe her swollen face. "All right, if you keep crying you'll turn into a little mess, you can ask for anything, consider it compensation for you. Then, the child's birthday is coming up, and I want that new island you bought as their birthday gift." Cliff frowned. "No, that's meant for the child between me and Luna. Please Daddy, I consulted a master, and that island aligns perfectly with our child's destiny. It's very auspicious for both of them. You promised to make it up to me this time." He agreed. Novia flashed a provocative smile at the camera and sent another voice message. "See, even things promised to you. If I ask, he'll still give them to me. You lose." Luna sat there in a daze, clutching her phone. She remembered when she got injured during her part-time job before. Cliff had also helped alleviate her pain like this. The things he did for her, he would do for other women too. At this moment, she felt utterly exhausted. "But as long as I leave Cliff, everything will be fine. Tomorrow, I can leave." In the afternoon, Luna visited her mentor. Before parting, the elderly person took her to a nearby Buddhist temple, saying it was particularly auspicious, and wanted to get her a protective charm. Upon arriving here, a monk who had never met her before called out Luna's name. "Are you wondering how I recognized you?" The monk smiled. "A year ago, a benefactor named Cliff donated 80 million to our temple. He even kowtowed every 3 steps from the mountain foot to the temple, praying for a protective talisman for you. However, he didn't take the talisman with him at the time but left it here for us to chant scriptures and bless it." The teacher was delighted. "This little gesture shows how much he cares for you. Seeing you two so deeply in love puts my mind at ease." Luna lowered her eyes. The nostalgia for past tenderness and the pain of betrayal intertwined, stirring up the calm she had barely managed to regain. "Today, by a stroke of fate, since you've come, take this talisman of peace with you." As she took the talisman and turned to leave, the monk called out to her, "Wait, patron." At that time, patron also requested 3 talismans of peace. "Please take them back with you as well." Luna took them, but when she saw the names on them, she almost wanted to laugh. Written on them were Novia and the names of the twins. At night, Cliff returned to find Luna already asleep alone. For so many years, they had grown accustomed to waiting for each other, only able to fall asleep in each other's arms. This was the first time she hadn't waited for him. Cliff felt a surge of unease. He hugged Luna tightly, burying his face in the crook of her neck. "I missed you so much, my love, even though it's only been a few hours, it felt like centuries. If one day you're no longer by my side, I wouldn't be able to go on living." "Is that so?" Luna murmured softly. "By the way, honey, there's something I want to discuss with you, about that island. I consulted a master and the feng shui isn't great. I bought 2 others instead." "Okay." Luna closed her eyes. "Do as you please." Noticing the coldness and impatience in her tone, Cliff grew even more uneasy. He asked cautiously, "Honey, did I do something to upset you?" "No, I'm just tired." She took a deep breath. "Our anniversary is in a few days. I want to take the private jet abroad tomorrow afternoon. I ordered a gift overseas and want to pick it up myself. But you're pregnant, a 15-hour flight would be too exhausting." "Why don't I go instead?" Luna said in a slightly coquettish tone. "No, I want to go myself." Hearing her act so coquettishly, Cliff's heart melted. He wouldn't refuse even if it cost him his life. "All right, whatever you say." Early the next morning, Cliff made breakfast and left, saying there was something urgent at work. After he left, Luna started packing her things. She opened the wardrobe, took out all the clothes she had personally made for Cliff, cut them into pieces, and threw them in the trash. All the jewelry gifts Cliff had given her, she distributed to the housekeepers. She and Cliff had saved up for 3 years, 16 photo albums they agreed to keep until old age to look through together. All of which she threw into the fireplace. When Cliff returned after forgetting important documents, he saw the photos burning in the flames. His mind went blank with a deafening roar, and without a second thought, he reached into the fire to salvage the last half-burnt album. "Honey," his voice trembled as he looked at Luna. "Why did you burn them?" Luna smiled. "It's nothing. I just think the photos turned out ugly and don't want to keep these unflattering pictures." She walked over and took Cliff's burned hand. "We have a long life ahead of us. We can take more photos. Why did you reach in there? Look how badly your hand is injured. Let's get a doctor to take care of it." Seeing the concern in her eyes, Cliff's inner turmoil gradually calmed. And he began to act spoiled. "Blow on it for me, wifey, and it won't hurt anymore." If his subordinates saw him like this, They would surely think their cold-faced boss had been possessed by something. At your age, you should be ashamed. Luna walked over and covered the torn clothes in the trash bin. After taking the documents, Cliff kissed Luna on the forehead. I'm heading to the office now. I'll be back by noon. Shortly after he left, Novia sent her another message, DC Grand Hotel. Your husband is here. There's a good show for you to see today. Luna remained silent. It turned out that every time he said he was going to the office, he was actually going to see Novia. Even though she knew what she would see there would surely devastate her, Luna still went. So today was the twins' birthday. Cliff and his parents, along with his friends, had all gathered to celebrate the twins' birthday. They held the birthday celebration at the hotel, where the passing service staff addressed Novia as Mrs. Colton. Cliff did not refute it but instead exchanged a knowing smile with Novia, his eyes shimmering with tenderness. Meanwhile, Colton's parents beamed at Novia with a warmth Luna had never seen before. If it weren't for Novia, how could I enjoy such family happiness as I do now? Cliff, you must never let Novia suffer. Treat her well, understand? Cliff nodded with a smile. When have I ever mistreated her? Luna has nothing that she doesn't. Clothes, jewelry, rare treasures. Haven't I prepared double portions of everything? Luna had thought she could calmly accept everything, but at this moment, something exploded in her mind, shattering all past affection into fragments that pierced her heart, leaving it bloody and raw. It turns out everyone knew about this, and from long ago, what she thought was unique was all fake. What was given to her, Novia also had. What wasn't given to her, Novia also had. She hid behind a pillar outside the auditorium, only to overhear Cliff and his cousin Polly chatting. I say, cousin, are you really planning to live like this for the rest of your life? Polly frowned. You can't keep the truth hidden forever. No matter how well you conceal it, sister-in-law will find out someday. Cliff laughed. I love Luna, but Novia has already borne my child. I can't just abandon her. Living like this isn't so bad. But what if the truth comes out? What will you do then? Polly muttered. You're being unfaithful to your marriage. It's just too unfair to sister-in-law. That day will never come. Haven't we been fine these past 2 years? Cliff remained confident. I know I've wronged Luna, and I'll make it up to her by treating her twice as well. Polly rolled her eyes in disdain. Can love be compensated with material things? Out of sibling loyalty, I'll give you a heads up, Uncle is coming back soon. He's so old-fashioned and despises people like you who mess around. You'd better hide your mistress well. If Uncle finds out, he'll definitely expose you. Luna slowly slid down the pillar and collapsed onto the floor. Her heart had already numbed from the pain. At this moment, all she felt was disgust. She stumbled out of the hotel, but the relentless mental blows of the past few days had drained her last reserves of strength. Her vision darkened, and she collapsed straight to the ground. When she woke again, she found herself in an unfamiliar room. A man in a tailored suit sat on the sofa by the bed, frameless glasses perched on the bridge of his nose. He was flipping through a thick stack of documents, though his expression was impassive. An inexplicable aura of dominance radiated from his strikingly handsome features. Luna sat up, dazed for a few seconds before recognizing the person in front of her. It was Cliff's younger uncle, Darcy. He had been doing business abroad for years. Luna had only met him a few times. She only knew that Cliff was somewhat afraid of this uncle who was 3 years older than him, because as a mischievous child, his parents couldn't bear to hit him. It was always Darcy who disciplined him. Cliff described him as rigid and serious. Everything has to be done by the rules. Awake. The man closed the file in his hand. The doctor said you fainted due to a recent miscarriage and excessive emotional distress. He walked slowly toward Luna. Cliff doesn't know about your miscarriage, does he? Otherwise, he would have gone mad by now and wouldn't have let you faint alone by the roadside. Luna remained silent for a long time. Thank you for today, but please don't tell him about this. Seeing Darcy showed no intention of agreeing, she pleaded softly, please. Darcy was taken aback. Clearly, there were issues between the couple. Logically, this matter should definitely be told to Cliff, but somehow, his heart softened. And in the end, he agreed to keep it a secret for her. He sent someone to take Luna back home. Not long after she returned home, Cliff also came back. Honey, what would you like for lunch? I'll cook. Worried that the chef might not put enough care into the meals or that they might not suit Luna's taste. No matter how busy he was over the years, he always personally prepared Luna's 3 daily meals. He then took out another set of jewelry. The custom-made jewelry has arrived, honey. See if you like it. Luna glanced at it. The design was exactly the same as the one he had given Novia earlier that day. She couldn't help but laugh out loud. All along, what she thought was special favor turned out to be cheap sentiments duplicated in pairs. No need. I want to visit the Little Tree Hollow. The Little Tree Hollow was an estate Cliff built for Luna 5 years ago, where many precious memories were once made. Cliff successfully confessed his love for the 97th time at the Little Tree Hollow. There, they held hands for the first time and shared their first kiss. It was also there that Cliff proposed to her, vowing to love her and only her for the rest of his life. However, since it's near the outskirts and they found it too far, they rarely visited after getting married. Now it's 12 o'clock, and at 3 in the afternoon, she will fly away from here forever. One last look. As a final farewell, Cliff was taken aback, his expression slightly flustered, because earlier Novia had insisted on staying, so he had given her the key to the small tree hollow. Today, she had taken the two children out to play. All right, we'll go after lunch, he said, slipping into the kitchen to secretly message Novia, telling her to leave quickly. At 1 in the afternoon, the two arrived at the estate. As soon as they entered, Luna sensed something was amiss. The roses in the garden have all been replaced with lilies, the pale green curtains changed to pink, and even a child's rocking toy has been placed in the living room. Clearly, someone else has lived here, but she pretended not to notice anything and went straight upstairs. In the bedroom, there were still a few photo albums of her and Cliff. She intended to take them away and burn them. Staying here disgusted her, but the moment she opened the photo album, she froze in place. The album was filled with pictures of Cliff and Novia, along with the twins, the 4 of them in lavender fields, beneath the Eiffel Tower, on a hot air balloon. All these places were ones Cliff had once taken her to, each spot etched with unforgettable memories, yet, unbeknownst to her, on countless days and nights, he had taken another woman to those same places, tarnishing the last remnants of their shared past. Noticing Luna's face turn visibly pale, Cliff approached and asked, "What's wrong, honey?" Luna suddenly closed the photo album and said with a smile, "It's nothing. I want to go home." She turned to go downstairs. Cliff's phone suddenly rang, and his face instantly turned panicked. "Honey, I need to go to the bathroom. Can you go down first and wait for me?" Luna nodded and left. But a few minutes later, she returned, and outside the bathroom door, she heard Cliff's anxious voice. "I told you to take the kids and leave. Why are you still here? I wanted to play something exciting with you." Novia's seductive voice came through. "We did it before on your wedding bed, facing your wedding photos, but now she's right downstairs. Doesn't this feel even more thrilling than before?" Cliff's breathing grew heavier. "You little minx." The sound of wet kisses and even more indecent noises could be heard. Luna stood outside the door, her heart already devoid of ripples. She was only thinking, how could the person she loved have become like this, like a poppy in the mud, alluring, yet exuding a foul stench of decay? Or perhaps, he had always been this kind of person, and she had simply never noticed. She recalled a long time ago, Cliff first taking her into his social circle. These privileged youngsters, either wealthy or noble, offered their blessings on the surface but secretly mocked Cliff as a fool for being devoted to just one person. With their status, keeping 10 at once wouldn't be a problem. Back then, Cliff said, "I'm not like them, I only love you." Turns out there was no difference. Just equally rotten, only a matter of time. Luna let out a laugh and tiptoed downstairs. She came from the mountains. Her mother was trafficked there, because she didn't bear a son. She and her mother endured daily beatings from their father. At the age of 13, she fled the mountains, and the first thing she did was send her own father to prison. Her father cursed her to die a miserable death, while her mother, though freed because of her, showed no gratitude, because Luna was the evidence of her humiliation, a festering scar in her life. Growing up in such a twisted family, Luna learned to build high walls around her heart, keeping everyone at a distance. But at the age of 18, Cliff barged into her life. Like an inextinguishable flame, he persistently melted the ice in her heart, gently soothing all the pain from her past. He gave Luna countless love and also restored her ability to love others. Yet it was also him who, at her happiest moment, dealt her the heaviest and most painful blow. This scar will never heal again. A few minutes later, Cliff walked out of the manor. Luna looked at him silently for a moment, then suddenly raised her hand to show him the bracelet on her wrist. "You made this for me with your own hands, but today I noticed it has faded. Cliff, tell me, could your love for me fade too?" "How could it?" Cliff said with sincere expression, taking Luna's hand and pressing a devout kiss upon it. "My love for you will only grow stronger with each passing day." Luna let out a baffling laugh. "You claim to love her, yet you deceive and toy with her like this." She had intended to leave quietly, but now, she's changed her mind. She will take revenge on Cliff for his fickleness and for fooling her for 2 whole years, to take revenge on him for breaking his promise, leaving her alone to suffer in agony. To take revenge on him for giving her love, only to leave her with a wound that would never fully heal. Luna reached up and hugged him. Cliff, I love you too, so, you must wait for me, and our child. To return and celebrate our 3rd wedding anniversary with you. By the way, she took out a document folder and placed it solemnly in Cliff's hand. This is a gift for you, but you can't open it until 2 days later. Inside were the documents from her abortion procedure, along with Novia's screenshots of the video sent to her. When the news of her plane crash comes in this afternoon, he will surely open this file. Then he'll realize it was his infidelity that broke her heart. Cost him the child he'd long awaited, and even caused the death of his beloved wife. She wanted every single day of his future to be filled with pain and regret. All right, I'll wait for you to come back. Cliff's eyes sparkled with hopeful light. Honey, let me take you to the airport now. Luna shook her head in refusal. On life's journey, he had already accompanied her long enough. For this final stretch before parting, she didn't want him by her side anymore. No need to see me off. I know you're a very busy man. Someone will be looking for you again soon. Cliff paused. Was it his imagination, or did his wife's words carry a hint of mockery? A sudden unease spread through his heart. The next moment, his phone rang. It was a message from Novia. Daddy, you didn't get enough just now, did you? After sending your wife away, come back and let's continue. Okay. Attached was a photo of her wearing Luna lingerie. Cliff's breath instantly grew ragged. The unease in his heart instantly scattered by the flames of desire. Actually, his first time with Novia happened after his parents got him drunk. At that time, he felt so dirty that he wanted to kill himself. But Novia knelt on the ground, begging him shamelessly, even though you bankrupted my family, I still love you. Cliff, I'd really die without you. I'll do anything to make you happy, to please him. She truly had no limits. Whatever alphabet games Cliff had seen or never seen. She tried them all. In the end, she put on Luna's clothes and said, you can pretend I'm her. Whatever you can't bear to do to her, you can do to me. At that moment, Cliff's inner flame was ignited by her. He had harbored many lewd fantasies about Luna. But every time he got close to her, those thoughts made him feel filthy. The fantasies faded, leaving only a pious love akin to worship. But with Novia, he didn't have to hold back. All his fantasies could be realized with her. Then, honey, I won't see you off to the airport. Be careful on your way. Before leaving, Luna gave him one last glance, only to see his back. She whispered her farewell, goodbye, Cliff, never to meet again. A few hours later, Cliff was in the midst of passionate entanglement with Novia on the large bed of Little Tree Hollow when his assistant's call came through. This better be earth-shatteringly important. Cliff's voice carried the irritation of being interrupted. The assistant's voice trembled. Mr. Darcy, we've just received word that Madam's plane, it crashed over the ocean shortly after leaving domestic airspace. Cliff's pupils contracted sharply, his entire body's blood freezing in an instant. What did you say, Daddy? Why did you stop? Novia pressed her body against him like a snake. Normally, Cliff would have pounced by now. But at this moment, he remained as still as a statue. A few seconds later, he suddenly collapsed straight backward, vomiting large amounts of blood. Blood stained a large portion of the bedsheet, and amidst Novia's terrified screams, he struggled to stand up. Staggering toward the garage, Luna couldn't possibly be in trouble. He had to go find her himself. Once in the car, he saw Luna's file folder still placed on the passenger seat. Cliff's internal organs twisted in pain. And he gasped for breath. But the agony seeped into his bloodstream with every inhale, spreading everywhere. How could he have agreed to let Luna fly the plane alone? Why hadn't he arranged for experienced pilots to accompany her? Why? Because a person's energy is limited. He had been busy preparing for the twins' birthday recently, so of course, he had no mind to pay attention to such trivial details. The search and rescue operation lasted 2 full days. But after combing through hundreds of miles of nearby waters, no trace of survivors was found. The rescuers carefully chose their words to avoid upsetting Cliff, as everyone knew how deep his love was for Luna. Mr. Cliff, when a plane crashes over the ocean, there's almost no chance of survival for the passengers, so, Ms. Luna may have already perished. Cliff was in tears, his body limp as if made of mud, unable to stand on his own, relying entirely on those around him to support him. But upon hearing the word perished, he suddenly lunged forward, grabbing the rescuer by the collar, his eyes bloodshot as he shouted, "That's bullshit, how dare you curse my wife, she's not dead, she's not dead, don't you dare say she's dead." The assistant finally managed to pull him away. Cliff stood still for a long moment before murmuring, "Today was our wedding anniversary, she told me to wait for her to come back." He had prepared a grand celebration, but now the ceremony had turned into a funeral. He didn't stay at the crash site any longer but went alone to the wedding hall. Looking at the giant wedding photo in the center, tears welled up in his eyes again. The thought that Luna was in a plane crash while he was Novia in bed made him wish he could kill his past self. Luna, were you very scared back then? He gently stroked the eyes and brows of Luna in the photo. I promised I wouldn't leave you alone, so wait for me. I'll go with you. He stuffed a whole bottle of sleeping pills into his mouth and lay down, snuggling against their wedding photo. The medication took effect quickly, but he ultimately didn't die. The hotel manager noticed something was wrong and called for an ambulance. When he woke up, his parents were weeping beside him. How could you be so foolish? Did you even think about your parents before doing something so reckless? Cliff stared blankly. Just pretend you never had an unfilial son like me, without Luna. I can't go on living, Mr. Colton and Mrs. Colton collapsed on the spot, weeping uncontrollably. Darcy looked at him with a headache. 3 years ago, this nephew had turned against the entire family for Luna, and now that Luna was dead, he wanted to follow her in death. Luna, what kind of magic did she possess to bewitch him like this? Just as he was about to persuade him, Cliff suddenly grabbed his hand. Uncle, there's a document bag on the passenger seat of the car I often drive. Could you get it for me? It was Luna's last gift to him before she left. He had lost all hope of living, but before dying, he wanted to open this final gift. Darcy instructed the caregiver to watch over him and went to retrieve the document bag himself. When he returned, he saw an additional woman and 2 children in the hospital room. The woman cried, even if you don't think of anything else, at least think of your own flesh and blood. Darcy frowned, his hand pausing as he pushed the door open. What's going on here? As far as he knew, Cliff and Luna didn't have any children. Where did this flesh and blood come from? Could it be that he cheated during the marriage? If you die, I'll take these 2 children and die with you. In short, without you, my life has no meaning. In the hospital room, Cliff seemed moved. He raised his hand to stroke Novia's hair and sighed softly. Why go to such extremes? Darcy walked in with a cold expression, throwing the document bag onto Cliff. Here's what you wanted. Cliff opened the document bag and took out its contents while Novia was still holding his hand, pouring out her heart. Cliff, although I don't like Luna, I'm also very sad about what happened to her. But the dead are gone, and the living must move on. Please don't do anything foolish anymore. From now on, let me walk this path with you. Okay, she had endured for so long, finally waiting for the day Luna died. From now on, Cliff would belong to her alone, lost in fantasies of a blissful future. She struggled to suppress the smile at the corners of her lips, failing to notice Cliff's increasingly grim expression. The next moment, Cliff hurled the items in his hand at her head, stood up with a livid face, and suddenly grabbed her by the throat. I told you long ago, I could give you anything you want, but you must never let Luna know about this. Yet how dare you? How dare you bring this matter to Luna? How dare you provoke her again and again? I didn't. Novia tried to defend herself, but her gaze fell on the papers on the ground, the receipt for Luna's abortion surgery and screenshots of her chat history with Luna. Her pupils constricted sharply. She had thought that given Luna's pride, she would simply divorce or leave Cliff rather than expose these matters. I never expected her to leave this behind before she died. That bitch. Cliff's hands tightened more and more at this moment. He truly regretted why he hadn't just killed this scourge back then, just as he was about to strangle Novia. Darcy pulled him away. Enough. Do you really want to kill someone? After narrowly escaping death, Novia truly felt the terror of mortality, shrinking away from Cliff. She sobbed accusingly. I've followed you without status for 2 years, bearing your children, and you actually tried to kill me. She had admired Cliff's wealth and power, but also genuinely cared for him as a person. Yet in this moment, all that love turned to hatred. Do you really think I'm solely to blame for how things have turned out? If you hadn't repeatedly failed to control your lust, would I have had the opportunity to provoke Luna? Now you want to pin all the responsibility on me alone. In your dreams, let me tell you something. Luna's death might not have been a plane crash. Maybe she was so heartbroken she chose to end her own life, and the one who drove her to suicide was you. Cliff was nailed to the spot by these words. In the silence, all the recent anomalies flashed before his eyes, and a thought suddenly crossed his mind. After a moment, he suddenly burst into laughter. Luna must still be alive. She must have hidden somewhere. He knew Luna well. She was as tenacious as wild grass. Even if she knew about his infidelity, she would never take her own life. She would simply leave him and hide somewhere he could never find her, because she also knew herself well, understanding that she would never agree to a divorce. Someone Immediately investigate Luna's recent contacts. Luna has been abroad for 3 months now. During this time, she would always tightly draw the curtains. Lost in thought alone in her room, staying that way for entire days, she knew her low spirits were because of Cliff. Although he had been removed from her life, the past was too deeply ingrained, he had even become a habit. Paula invited her out for a meal. When she tasted a dish she liked, she would turn to the empty space beside her and say, "Honey, this is delicious. I'll need you to recreate it when we get home." It startled both Paula and herself. At night, she habitually reaches out to embrace the person beside her, only to grasp empty air, and that's when insomnia sets in. In the morning, getting dressed feels unfamiliar too. In the past, her clothes were all Cliff's responsibility, each piece carrying the scent of his carefully chosen cologne. Now, the clothes returned from the dry cleaners bear no fragrance at all. Over the past few years, Cliff had gently permeated every aspect of her life. They were like two threads of different colors, woven together into a tightly intertwined fabric. She needs some time to readjust to living alone. Also completely removed Cliff from her life. 3 months later, Luna had adapted to her new life. She could take good care of herself and rarely thought about Cliff anymore. Luna graduated with a double degree in software engineering and artificial intelligence. She loved programming because in this binary world composed of ones and zeros, everything was certain. By mastering the rules, she could use certainty to create more uncertainty. She loved this tangible sense of security. After graduation, she has been working in this field and has accumulated considerable experience. Recently, she has been trying to develop her own tech brand. About 3 months later, the product development was completed. She contacted various factories and self-funded the production of a batch. After all the necessary procedures were approved, the product was launched into the market. Luna originally just wanted to test the waters, but unexpectedly, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Not only did it attract a large number of consumers, but it also drew the attention of several investors who wanted to collaborate with her. Luna didn't want to appear in person because she was afraid others might recognize her, which could lead to unnecessary trouble. So she simply delegated all matters entirely to Paula to handle. Paula selected the most generous and capable company among many options. After both parties finalized the contract online, they proceeded to sign it offline. Coincidentally, their company's president happened to be in this small town recently. So Paula didn't have to travel back and forth. She could simply meet their president to sign the contract. At the appointed time, Paula entered the agreed-upon location. The moment Darcy saw Paula, he froze, if he remembered correctly. The girl opposite him was named Paula, and she was Luna's best friend. According to Cliff's investigation, the crashed plane was remotely controlled, and Paula was an expert in this field. This means Luna wasn't actually in danger. Only an unmanned plane had crashed. Moreover, Luna had only spoken with Paula twice before the incident, so it's very likely that Paula helped Luna hide. Now that she's appearing here, does that mean Luna is also here? Paula doesn't know Darcy and is unaware that she's been exposed. After she left, Darcy called his assistant in, find out where she lives and who she's living with. The assistant nodded and was about to leave when Darcy stopped him. Has that girl still not been found? Darcy, at the age of 9, he was framed by enemies, leading to his capture by human traffickers who took him to a small mountain village, hundreds of miles of continuous mountains. There was no way he could escape. Just when he thought his life would rot there, a girl named Chaya saved him. She led him down an unfamiliar path and stuffed a few hard-steamed buns into his hands. Run straight from here, and by tomorrow afternoon you'll be out. Darcy grabbed her. Then let's go together. If they find out you let me escape, they'll beat you to death. Chaya shook her head. I can't leave. If I go, I have to take my mom with me. But her legs were broken. She can't walk. After a long silence, she said, Little brother, when you get out, report to the police for me. My mom was trafficked here. Back then, Darcy fell seriously ill after escaping. When he woke up, he had forgotten the location of that small mountain village, remembering only those tearful, stubborn eyes and the bull-sized scar on her ankle. All these years, he had been searching for her. The assistant shook his head. Mr. Darcy, we're still investigating. Darcy suppressed his disappointment and waved his hand. You may go now. A few days later, Paula took Luna to a nearby tavern for drinks, where they brushed off several men who tried to hit on them. The guy I met during the contract signing the other day was devastatingly handsome, but his aura was so intimidating. It felt oppressive. I didn't dare ask for his personal contact info. Paula lamented with regret. Why did I chicken out? What a waste. Who knows when I'll run into another guy on that level again, but in less than a second, she perked up again. That guy who just walked by is so hot, totally my type, I'll be right back. Shortly after she left, Luna felt the couch beside her sink slightly under someone's weight. She thought it was Paula, who as usual nestled against her shoulder and lazily asked, "Why are you back so soon?" But upon leaning in, she realized the perfume on this person was unfamiliar. Luna jolted upright abruptly, accidentally knocking over her drink and soaking her coat. Flustered, she wiped her clothes while apologizing to the person beside her. "I'm sorry, I mistook you for someone else," Darcy replied calmly. "It's all right." This voice. Luna suddenly raised her head. Darcy. In an instant, a surge of terror shot up from her spine to the crown of her head. Why is he here? Cliff. Does he know about her faked death? Are they here to take her back? These questions flashed through Luna's mind, but she had no time to dwell on them. Now there was only one word in her head, run, but the moment she turned around, Darcy grabbed her wrist from behind. He stood up and pushed forward. Luna was pinned against the wall with his weight from behind. Darcy was draped in an overcoat, making it seem to onlookers as if he was embracing Luna from behind, just another ambiguous couple common in such places, so no one noticed anything unusual. "Why are you running? I'm not going to do anything to you." Darcy still wore his usual indifferent expression. "But you'll have to come back to the country with me to see Cliff." Luna turned to glare at him angrily. "Mr. Cliff, where I go is my freedom, and you have no right to interfere. Now, please let go." Indeed, Darcy didn't release his grip, instead tightening it further. "But because of your fake death, Cliff was constantly threatening suicide back then. After guessing you weren't dead, he went crazy searching for you all over the world. The extreme grief and joy, I think it's made him a bit mentally unstable. Shouldn't you come back with me to see him and resolve this matter?" Hearing this, Luna fell silent for a long time. "There's no need to meet again. He and I are already strangers." Darcy frowned slightly. "Cliff committed adultery during the marriage. That's his fault. You could divorce him. Why not sit down and talk about this instead of constantly running away?" "I am running away, but if I had a choice, who would willingly give up everything and hide under a false name? I chose this path not just to retaliate for his infidelity, but also to ensure he has no chance to harass me again." Luna sighed softly. "You don't understand him at all. He won't divorce, nor will he let go. He's capable of doing something extreme. If you truly care about him, don't tell him you've seen me." Darcy shook her head. "I'm sorry, but I refuse. You must come back with me." Luna sneered. "Fine, if you insist on forcing me back, you'll only be taking back a corpse." "Hugh." Darcy was startled and instinctively loosened his grip. Luna seized the moment of his hesitation and dashed out. She and Paula bought plane tickets overnight and flew to another country, but on the second day after settling in, as soon as she opened the door, 2 rows of bodyguards stood neatly at the entrance. Watching Darcy step out of the luxury car, Luna sighed helplessly. "What exactly do you want?" "I came here to propose a deal. I want you to stay within my sight. In exchange, I can grant you access to the core technologies of all the tech companies under my name." Over the past few days, he had thoroughly investigated Luna. He knew about her passion for technology and was certain the offer he made would be impossible for her to refuse, as long as she agreed to stay. He could gradually persuade her to meet with Cliff. "Of course, you can refuse, but no matter where you go, I'll have someone follow you. Comparatively speaking, agreeing is the better deal." Luna cursed the profiteer in her heart, but with no other choice, she agreed to his terms. Darcy arranged a villa for her near the headquarters. "It's close to the company, convenient for you to visit and learn." After he left, Paula knocked her head in frustration. Life is so unpredictable, full of twists and turns. Had I known he was Cliff's uncle, I would have given the product away for free rather than collaborate with him. "Sorry, Luna, it's not your fault." Luna hugged her. The world is so vast. Who would have thought they'd coincidentally encounter a company under Darcy's name? Luna temporarily settled here, spending her days learning at Darcy's company and returning in the evenings to develop her own product. Every few days, Darcy would visit, each time urging Luna to agree to meet with Cliff. That day, when she returned from the company, she saw Darcy sitting in the living room again, and beside him stood an excited Cliff. The moment Cliff saw Luna, his eyes instantly reddened. For 7 whole months, 214 days, he had dreamed of their reunion, yet when it finally happened, he stood frozen, not daring to move. He feared this was a dream, and even more, he dreaded seeing the coldness and disdain in Luna's eyes. "Luna," he murmured softly. Luna glanced at him briefly before averting her gaze, then shot a cold look at Darcy. Darcy had always dominated the business world, accustomed to giving others a hard time. This was the first time someone had dared to treat him with such disdain. He coughed awkwardly. I noticed you've been much more emotionally stable lately, so I informed Cliff to come over. Cheating was his fault, but faking your death was also your mistake. Now, I hope the two of you can calmly talk it out. Luna sneered. Calmly, Darcy. If you ever get married and your wife cheats on you, has 2 children with someone else, hides it from you for 2 whole years, and even repeatedly sleeps with that person in the very place where you two fell in love, could you stay calm and talk it out with her? Darcy was left speechless by her retort. Meanwhile, Cliff lowered his head, his face pale. Cliff, Luna called out to him. I faked my death because I wanted nothing more to do with you, but now that you've found me, let me make this clear. There's no possibility between us. Don't delude yourself into thinking that persistent pestering will earn my forgiveness or mend what's broken. She paused briefly. Novia, that day in the grotto when you were with her, I stood outside the door and heard everything. I'll never forget it. If you have even a shred of lingering affection, stay out of my sight, because now, just seeing you makes me relive that moment and want to vomit. Cliff's face turned ashen. He rushed forward, grabbing Luna's hand, his words frantic and incoherent. I was wrong. Punish me however you want. Kill me if it eases your anger. But don't abandon me, Luna. I can't live without you. Luna pulled her hand away. What would I want with your life? As for how you'll survive, that has nothing to do with me. She suddenly laughed. Novia gave birth to twins for you. Didn't your whole family know about it and accept her? Now you have both a son and daughter. You can just live with her directly. Cliff grabbed Luna's hand again, urgently explaining, I've already cut ties with her. I'll never see her again. I beg you. Give me a chance to make it right. He couldn't care about anything else now, even kneeling down to plead. Luna grabbed him firmly. Can't you understand human language? I said, there's no possibility between us anymore. Stop this meaningless pestering. I can't live without you. Cliff was crying so hard he could barely speak. Darcy couldn't help but sigh on the side. Though only 3 years older than Cliff, he had practically watched him grow up and had never seen him in such a disheveled and undignified state. Meanwhile, Luna was utterly exasperated by Cliff's incessant pleading. With a hardened heart, she shook off Cliff and abruptly seized Darcy by the collar. Under his shocked and bewildered gaze, Luna planted a firm kiss on his lips. Cliff's sobs were abruptly cut short. There's no chance for us, because I've set my sights on your uncle now. Darcy's pupils constricted sharply. Cliff looked unusually pale. You, Luna, don't say such angry words. What, you don't believe me? Your uncle is successful in his career, good-looking, and most importantly, he's clean. So what's strange about me taking a liking to him? Luna smiled and reached out to grab Darcy's tie again. Darcy's perpetually icy expression finally cracked as he took several large steps back, half angry and half flustered. Luna walked over slowly and grabbed his belt in one swift motion. Though she wore a smile on her face, she loathed Darcy with every fiber of her being. If it weren't for him, Cliff might never have found her. Her peaceful life wouldn't have been disrupted. He had caused her so much trouble, it was only fair she gave him a little gift in return. Luna tilted her head up and kissed his Adam's apple. Uncle, what cologne are you wearing? It smells amazing. Darcy had never been this close to someone of the opposite sex in his entire life. He never dreamed that one day he would be forcefully kissed twice in a row by his niece-in-law. He abruptly pushed Luna away. You. He stammered for a while but couldn't articulate anything coherent. A surge of frustration with no outlet, he finally turned his head and stormed out, slamming the door hard. Luna asked with a smile, Cliff, do you need me to continue proving it to you? Cliff collapsed to the ground, his face drained of color. He knew Luna too well. Just by looking into her eyes, he could tell exactly what she was thinking. He knew this was Luna deliberately provoking him, trying to make him give up. But seeing her kiss someone else still left him heartbroken and struggling to breathe. Cliff suddenly wondered, back when Luna discovered his infidelity, when she saw those shameful videos of him and Novia, had her heart hurt 1,000 times more than his did now. He closed his eyes, tears slipping from beneath his tightly shut lids. At this point, he had no one to blame but himself. He was the one who had destroyed everything. The next day, Luna continued her studies at Darcy's headquarters. In front of the elevator, she encountered Darcy. Upon seeing her, Darcy's face turned pale, then red, and after a few seconds, he stormed off toward the stairs with a livid expression. 20 minutes later, the assistant followed Darcy, panting heavily as they reached the top floor, cursing inwardly whether the boss had gone mad, issuing the elevator to climb 20-some flights of stairs, nearly killing them in the process. In the evening, Luna returned to the villa and found the air filled with the aroma of food. she thought it was Paula in the kitchen, but the next moment, Cliff walked out wearing an apron and carrying a dish. "You're back just in time. The food is ready, wash your hands and let's eat." Amidst the rising steam from the dishes, Luna couldn't help but feel a momentary daze. This scene has played out countless times over the past 3 years, no matter how busy he was. Cliff would always come home from work before her to cook. Whenever she opened the door, the aroma of food would greet her, followed by Cliff's embrace. That was once her definition of happiness. But after everything that has happened, nothing remains the same. Luna picked up the dish from the table and dumped it into the trash. "I made myself perfectly clear yesterday. Stop doing these pointless things." Cliff's face visibly paled, and his smile froze in place, but after a few seconds, he smiled again. "If these dishes don't suit your taste, I'll make something else." Luna's expression was icy and impatient. "Cliff, do I need to repeat what I said yesterday? You can say it as many times as you want." He picked up the empty plate and walked into the kitchen, speaking calmly. "But I won't listen, I won't leave you, and I won't give up. So starting today, I'll stay here to take care of you, until Luna was willing to forgive him, or until he died first." "You want to stay here, is that it? Fine, I'll leave." She had just taken a step forward when Cliff spoke calmly. "Your friend Paula, as well as your close friends and mentors back home, if you disappear from my life again, I'll make sure they have no place to stand anywhere." Luna's body suddenly stiffened. "Cliff, don't you think you're shameless?" "I don't want to do this," Cliff said, expertly chopping vegetables but unusually nicking his finger. He stared at the bleeding finger for a moment before continuing. "But it's the most effective way, isn't it?" Luna did not answer him, and the vast villa fell into complete silence. He quickly prepared another meal and brought it up. But Luna had no appetite and didn't want to see him, so she went straight upstairs to sleep. Cliff brought the dishes upstairs. "Tired, eat something before sleeping." Luna pulled the blanket over her head. "Get out." "All right. I'll make it again whenever you're hungry." Cliff took the food back downstairs, then came up again and lay on the bed. He hugged Luna from behind, his left hand tightly gripping her waist. "What are you doing? Let go. Don't touch me." Luna struggled. "Don't move, the wife. Let me hold you." He firmly held her in place, resting his chin on her shoulder and sighing contentedly. After more than 7 months, he finally embraced his beloved again. At this moment, his suspended soul finally returned to his body. This long-lost sense of security made his eyes redden, and he whispered, "Luna, I missed you so much, really missed you." Luna suddenly stopped struggling. She suddenly felt very sad. His love was real. But if he loved her so much, why did he cheat? Why did he destroy the relationship they had built together for so many years? If he had known it would come to this, why did he do it in the first place? "Cliff, I can't forget your infidelity. Nor can I forgive it. There's no future for us anymore. What's the point of you acting like this now? Let's part ways amicably." Cliff didn't say anything, just held her tighter. When the moon rose, he released his hold. "I know you don't want to see me. I'll sleep in the guest room tonight." He leaned down, intending to give Luna a goodnight kiss as he used to, but ultimately straightened up again. "Good night." He left Luna, but she couldn't sleep all night, only dozing off as dawn broke. It wasn't until nearly noon that the ringing phone woke her up. Why didn't you come to the office today?" It took her a moment to realize the call was from Darcy. Irritated, she snapped, "Whether I go or not is none of your business. Do I need to report to you? Don't you have anything better to do?" Darcy was inexplicably rebuked. As he tried to say something, the call was already disconnected. Staring at the red call-ended screen on her phone, Darcy suddenly laughed at her own anger. Had she lost her mind today? Whether that woman showed up or not was none of her business, so why did she even bother calling to check? And ended up getting scolded for no reason. Meanwhile, Luna, who'd been woken up by the call, found herself unable to fall back asleep. After washing up, she went downstairs. Cliff had already prepared lunch and was waiting, seeing her put on her coat to go out. Cliff stood up from the dining table and cautiously asked, "Luna, the meal is ready. Aren't you eating at home? Seeing you takes away my appetite. If I eat at home, I'll starve to death one day." Cliff lowered his head. "Then, come back early in the evening." The response he received was the sound of a door slamming shut. Cliff knew Luna harbored resentment and anger toward him, but they had shared so many years of affection. Once she vented her anger and calmed down, there would surely be room to salvage their relationship, but the waiting period would undoubtedly be agonizing. He smiled bitterly. No matter how unbearable, he had brought this upon himself. Luna left the villa, with no appetite for lunch. Feeling nothing but irritation in her heart, she used to watch Paula break up and get back together with her boyfriend repeatedly, feeling puzzled. Why keep entangled with this one man when love fades? Just part ways if it's gone, stay together if it remains. Now she understands, love has inertia, even after deciding to let go, that inertia still tugs at the heart, bringing endless pain. Distraught, Luna went to the largest club in town and ordered over a dozen male models in one go. One of the male models took a sip of wine and tried to pass it mouth to mouth. Luna didn't refuse either. Just as they were about to touch, the door was kicked open with a bang, and the model was yanked away by a large hand. Darcy's face was cold as ice. He swept a frosty gaze over the male models. Get out, all of you. He then looked at Luna. Do you know what you're doing? Luna leaned back on the sofa, drinking. Of course I do, but what does it have to do with you? I paid for these people, and you have no right to make them leave. You're the one who should go. Don't ruin my fun. Just a few words were exchanged between them when Cliff, having received the message, hurriedly arrived. His gaze swept over the group of male models in the private room, a cold, murderous glint flashing in his eyes. But the next second, he pleaded with Luna, honey, please come home with me. These people are all filthy. Luna sneered, they're dirty. Oh, and you're so clean yourself. Cliff stood frozen in place, his face deathly pale. I know you had people spying on me. That's how you got the news so fast and rushed over. But let me tell you something, if you can keep a mistress. Why can't I find myself a man next time? Don't come barging in to ruin my fun. It's such a buzzkill. Search your conscience. Back when I already knew about you and Novia, didn't I pretend not to know and let you have your fun? When have I ever acted like you? Cliff's face had turned ashen. Luna cast a mocking glance at Darcy. Little uncle, aren't you leaving yet? Even my legally registered husband has no right to interfere with me looking for men. Who do you think you are? Dictating my actions. If you're too idle, I suggest you drink more water. All right, both of you get out now, and close the door behind you. Cliff knew he was in the wrong first and had no grounds to argue now. But how could he leave and let Luna have fun with another man here? Just the thought of it made him burn with jealousy. Meanwhile, Darcy's chest heaved uncontrollably. He was furious at Luna's insolence, and even more furious at himself for possibly going mad. He had come here today for business, yet upon seeing her about to kiss someone else, he had rushed in without a second thought. Why should I care about her? The atmosphere was tense when suddenly a woman rushed in. As soon as she entered, she clung to Cliff's leg, crying, Cliff, how can you be so heartless? You don't even care about the lives of your two children. The voice was all too familiar to Luna. It was Novia. Novia after nearly being strangled to death by Cliff last time. The two became sworn enemies. Cliff immediately froze Novia's cards, reclaimed the 26 companies he had established for her, 5 estates, 6 villas, and several other properties. He also demanded the return of all the valuable jewelry he had previously gifted her. Overnight, Novia went from being a billionaire to a penniless debtor. She couldn't accept this reality, especially since she was raising 2 children alone. She found Cliff's parents, weeping and wailing, begging the elderly couple to help her. How could she survive with the children otherwise? Colton's father, Mrs. Colton, heartbroken for her grandchildren, immediately called her son, hoping to reconcile the couple. Goodness, just a few days ago you said you'd treat Novia well. How could you treat her like this now? Luna is already dead. Are you really going to abandon your own flesh and blood for her sake? Novia was wrong to provoke Luna, but as a woman who would want to live as a nameless mistress forever, fighting for her rightful place is understandable. At that time, Cliff was frantically searching for Luna's whereabouts. Hearing his mother's words, he coldly replied, Mom, if you take in Novia and those 2 children, we're done. If you still want me as your son, kick all 3 of them out. Mrs. Colton initially thought he was just speaking in anger, so she left Novia at the old house. Who would have thought that the very next day, Cliff immediately announced through major media outlets that he had severed ties with his parents and flew back to the country to complete the necessary procedures. Mrs. Colton was so shocked that she suffered a heart attack. After recovering, she immediately drove Novia out of the house and never dared to help her again. A grandson may be important, but a son is the true apple of one's eye. Novia completely lost her support and lived in destitution. This time, she finally learned of Cliff's whereabouts and immediately scraped together travel expenses to come here. Meeting face to face stirs some affection. She believed that if she pleaded earnestly, even if he couldn't lavish money on her as before, he could at least ensure her a worry-free life in the future. Otherwise, where else could she get money? Cliff, you can't be so heartless. Look at these 2 children. They're so thin. You're their father. How can you just ignore them? Novia cried pitifully. Our children have already learned to call you Daddy. The 2 children called out in unison with their sweet, milky voices, Daddy, On the side, Luna burst into laughter. The scene before her was utterly absurd. Meanwhile, Cliff's face had turned ashen. He called security to drag Novia out. But Novia clung tightly to his leg, refusing to let go, sobbing and pleading that the children couldn't be without a father. A night of love binds 100 nights of affection, she cried, begging him not to be so heartless after all they'd shared. To be honest, seeing the mistress bringing her child to make a scene at the doorstep, Darcy couldn't help but feel angry. He instinctively glanced at Luna, but she was watching with great interest, leisurely peeling and eating some fruit. Actually, although Darcy had been abroad these years, he had heard about Luna and Cliff's loving relationship. He had even come across their couple videos online. Back then, Luna's gaze at Cliff was filled with unmistakable affection, and she would even get jealous if he so much as glanced at another girl, instead of the current indifference and coldness in his eyes, as if looking at a stranger. How many disappointments does it take to become a completely different person like this? He lowered his head, unusually feeling a twinge of guilt. Had he been wrong to Luna's whereabouts to Cliff? Novia, after a prolonged struggle, she was finally dragged out by security. She wailed the entire way out. Cliff guiltily glanced at Luna. Don't say anything. Luna stood up and walked toward the door of the private room. Right now, even hearing you speak makes me sick. Cliff looked utterly panicked and desperate, his expression eerily similar to that of Novia, who had just been taken away that night. Luna didn't return home. Cliff finally found her by the river. It's cold here. Let's go home. Home. There is no home between you and me. Luna gazed at the moonlight on the river. Cliff, I'm begging you, just leave. I'm pleading for your mercy. Stop tormenting me. All right, for this love, I've nearly lost half my life. What more do you want? Do I have to die before you'll let me go? Cliff's eyes instantly reddened, his lips trembling. Luna, Cliff, give me a way out. If I have to face you for the rest of my life, I'd rather jump from here and die clean. I'm sorry. Cliff rushed over and hugged her, bursting into tears. It's all my fault, but I can't let you go. I can't live without you. Luna looked at him. After a long pause, she sneered and pushed him away. You keep saying you love me, but in the end, you only think about yourself. She turned to leave but suddenly received Paula's call. Baby, there's something I need to tell you. Your previous phone number was deactivated, and the hospital couldn't reach you, so they called me, your birth mother. She's critically ill and wants to see you one last time. Luna froze in place. Even though she knew that returning to the country meant entering Cliff's territory, and once she went back, it would be hard to escape again, she still rushed back overnight without hesitation. Cliff and Darcy had also accompanied her back. Luna hadn't seen her mother for over a decade. Her memories of her mother were still from childhood, when her mother was always being beaten and went hungry, resembling a walking skeleton wrapped in dry human skin. Now she stood outside the hospital room, yet she hesitated to push open the door. Luna, I'll go in with you. Cliff gently held her hand. Get out. Luna pushed him away. Stay outside. You're not allowed in. She opened the door and entered. Hearing her approaching footsteps, her mother struggled to open her eyes. You're here. Actually, there's nothing special to see you for. I just wanted to say one thing. Thank you. Luna stared at her blankly. From the very beginning, she hadn't needed her mother's thanks. All she wanted was her mother's freedom. You don't need to thank me. Saving you is also saving myself. The hospital room door opened again. It was her mother's current husband and daughter coming to visit. In the already cramped room, Luna was squeezed until there was no space left for her to stand. In her mother's world, she had never had a place to stand. He turned and walked toward the door, but her mother called out loudly again. Chaya, I'm sorry. All these years, I've taken my anger out on you and never treated you well. Luna paused for a moment. And there's no need to say sorry. She could understand her mother's pain. Only by completely letting go of herself could she bid farewell to those painful memories and start a new life. Outside the door, Darcy stared at Luna in disbelief. What did that old lady just call her? Chaya, Cliff sighed. Yes, Chaya was her former name. Her mother's surname is Black, so she gave herself this new name. Darcy suddenly grabbed his shoulders. Does she have a large scar on her right ankle? How did you know? Darcy staggered back weakly and collapsed onto a chair outside. The person who had saved his life all those years ago was right before his eyes. He had fantasized so many times that after finding that girl, he would give her the best of everything in the world and fulfill all her wishes. But now, not only had he given her nothing, he had also done things that made her dislike him. A few days later, Luna's mother passed away. At the funeral, she didn't shed a single tear, but on the way back, she suddenly asked to stop the car, ran uncontrollably to the roadside, and burst into loud sobs. Darcy got out of the car and raised his hand to drape a coat over her when Cliff blocked his hand. He felt that Darcy was being overly attentive to his wife. Luna's mother was critically ill, and it was natural for him, as her husband, to return with her, but Darcy, a distant relative with no real connection, had actually abandoned several major business deals just to follow them back to the country. Cliff couldn't help but suspect that Darcy harbored some unspeakable intentions toward Luna. At this moment, he glared at Darcy with icy hostility. "I'll take care of my wife myself. No need to trouble you, uncle." He turned around, wanting to hug Luna, but was pushed away abruptly. "Get the hell away from me," Luna cried out in despair. "Just take pity on me, Cliff, and don't show your face in front of me today. Get lost." Cliff's hand froze mid-air as a sharp pain pierced his chest. Had he truly become such an unbearable, repulsive presence to Luna? Was there really no chance left for redemption? He turned away with heavy footsteps. In the following days, Luna still refused to see him, and he tactfully stayed away. Yet, Luna's residence was surrounded by his men, layer upon layer. She was Cliff's prisoner now. Late at night half a month later, Cliff finally reappeared. He sat by the bed, reaching out to gently caress Luna's cheek. "You've lost so much weight these past 2 weeks. Luna coldly pushed his hand away. "How long do you plan to keep me locked up like this? Forever?" "Yes," Cliff smiled, leaning down to embrace her. "I've already settled everything outside. From now on, I won't go anywhere. I'll stay right here with you, and you'll stay with me too. I know you value loyalty above all else. If you leave me, I'll make sure everyone you care about lives a fate worse than death." Luna let out a cold laugh. "You're truly insane." "I'm not crazy." Cliff held her tightly in his arms. "But if you leave again, I'll definitely go mad." The next day, he ordered hundreds of wedding dresses to be delivered, wanting to retake their 3rd anniversary wedding photos with Luna. With the atmosphere team and lighting crew all in place, just as the photographer was about to press the shutter, Luna suddenly grabbed the cake from the table and smashed it all over Cliff. "To hell with this. Who wants to retake these photos with you?" Cliff calmly wiped the cream off his body. "There are plenty of backup dresses, and plenty of cakes. If you're not satisfied, you can keep throwing." That day, Luna hit him over a dozen times. The last time, Cliff frowned slightly and pressed her into his arms. "Luna, let's take photos first." "Okay, after the photos, I'll let you hit me as much as you want." Luna smiled slightly and smashed the cake directly onto his face. No, the wedding photo shoot that day still didn't happen. The cake had plum jam inside, which Luna loves, but Cliff is severely allergic to it and fainted immediately. That night, as soon as he woke up, he rushed to cook for Luna, but Luna didn't appreciate his gesture. She rattled off over a dozen dish names in one breath. Cliff spent 2 hours bustling around the kitchen to finish them. Luna just glanced and said, "I don't feel like eating these anymore." She then ordered different dishes. Cliff said nothing, silently retreated into the kitchen, and worked until late at night. At night, he had just finished showering and climbed into bed when Luna kicked him off. "You're not allowed to sleep with me. You're filthy." Cliff smiled. "I've already taken a shower." Luna also laughed. "I'm not talking about that kind of dirt. I mean, you've slept with Novia so many times. That's dirty." Cliff felt his breath catch. He didn't return to the bed but instead took bedding to sleep on the floor. The next day, Cliff was woken up early by the butler's phone call. Afraid of waking Luna, he tiptoed out of the bedroom and asked, "What's the matter, sir?" "Mr. Darcy is at the door, asking to see you." Cliff went to the manor gate and saw Darcy standing outside. He smiled and said, "The butler told me you've come 6 times in the past half-month. Is there something you need?" Darcy stared intently into his eyes. "I came to visit Luna. Her phone has been turned off." "Cliff, did you lock her up? Even if you're married, what you're doing is illegal." Cliff sneered. "Uncle, you do know we're married, don't you? As an elder, aren't you paying a bit too much attention to your niece-in-law?" He took a few steps closer and spoke in a low voice. "Even if Luna kissed you, it doesn't mean anything. She was just trying to provoke me. You don't actually think Luna likes you, do you?" Darcy froze. "Uncle, don't come here anymore unless necessary, and even if something comes up, don't come. You're not welcome here." On the way back to his room, the mere thought of someone else coveting Luna was enough to make his heart burn with the flames of jealousy. No, staying here is too unsafe. He must take Luna to live on the newly purchased island. He immediately instructed his assistant to arrange the matter. In the following days, he was busy with this matter. On the day before completion, his assistant suddenly called, saying Novia had chased him to his company to make a scene. She stood on the rooftop holding their 2 children, threatening to jump if she couldn't see him. Cliff rushed to the company with a grim expression. Shortly after he left, Darcy broke into the manor with his men. Darcy found Luna standing by the balcony. He stood silently beside Luna for a while, until her impatient gaze swept over him. "What are you doing here?" He mustered the courage to speak. Do you remember saving a trafficked boy when you were little? All these years, it's been Darcy taking care of others. But in his memory, that little girl was the only one who ever took care of him. She was special to him. But Darcy couldn't quite put into words what that feeling was. Luna froze in place because of his words. It's me," Darcy exclaimed with shining eyes. "You remember me?" Luna sneered coldly. "Of course I remember you. You deceitful liar who breaks promises." Back then, he had clearly promised to call the police for her after escaping. The young Luna shared this news with her mother, who rarely smiled at her. Like a child, she kept asking, "Really, you're not lying to me, are you?" "Of course not," he promised, Luna declared, pounding her chest. But they waited and waited. A month passed, then a year, then several years, yet no police ever came to rescue them. Her mother grew deeply resentful of her for this. Believing Luna was just like her biological father, a liar through and through. In all the years that followed, she never saw her mother smile again. Darcy hurriedly explained, "I called the police back then. But I fell seriously ill and couldn't remember the exact location of that mountain village when I woke up. I've been searching for you all these years." Luna walked away with a cold laugh. "It doesn't matter now, but I truly regret it. I shouldn't have saved you back then. I should have let you rot there. If not for that, my relationship with my mother wouldn't have deteriorated to this point, and I wouldn't be forced to face Cliff, that disgusting man." Darcy stood frozen in place, his chest tightened repeatedly, and a faint tingling sensation spread to the tips of his limbs. "Wait," he stopped Luna. I'm sorry. I can't change what's already happened, but I can make amends. If you don't want to stay, I'll send you away right now." Luna stopped in her tracks. "Cliff is threatening me with my friends. After I leave, can you guarantee their safety?" Darcy immediately assured. "No problem." Luna fell silent for a moment. "I'll trust you one last time," because she had no other options left now. On the other side, Cliff arrived at the company rooftop and saw Novia standing outside the railing. His eyes filled with coldness. "How dare you show your face in front of me, last time abroad?" If it weren't for Novia suddenly appearing, he and Luna would never have ended up in such a bad situation. Novia looked at him with pleading eyes. "Cliff, we still have 2 children together. Do you really not want me anymore, after going through so much?" She had come to realize that men are heartless and utterly unreliable. But having been pampered since childhood and later kept by Cliff, she had no survival skills other than spending money. She couldn't support herself, let alone with 2 children in tow. Now, she had no other choice but to beg Cliff, pleading with him to take her in for the sake of their past relationship. Cliff let out a cold laugh. "If it weren't for your meddling, Luna and I wouldn't have ended up like this. I wish I could kill you. As for these 2 children, they're just bastards. I don't care if you live or die." His dismissive and disgusted words shattered Novia's last glimmer of hope. She collapsed to the ground, her eyes filled with despair. She had no hope left to live. In the depths of utter despair, Novia felt an unprecedented rage surge within her chest. "Bullshit. Did I ruin your relationship with Luna? If you were truly as virtuous as Lu Xiaohui, could I have seduced you into my bed time and again? Now that you've had your fun, you're dumping all the blame on me. Flies don't swarm around an uncracked egg. You're the rotten one who chose to tangle with me." Cliff let out a laugh, casting her one final glance as if watching a monkey show. Before leaving the rooftop, Cliff heard Novia scream with every ounce of her strength. "Cliff, I curse you to never get what you desire. May you die a wretched death." Cliff let out a mocking laugh. But as he stepped out of the company building, several dark figures plummeted rapidly before him, like watermelons tumbling off a shelf. A dull thud followed by the shattering of skin and bone, their contents splattering across the ground. Bright red blood and white matter splashed onto his face simultaneously. Cliff stood frozen for several seconds. When he finally processed the sight of the mangled corpses before him, his face turned deathly pale. At this moment, he couldn't tell whether fear or shock dominated his heart. Someone had died here, and he was taken to the police station for questioning. When he returned home late at night, he found all the bodyguards in the villa drugged and tied up, the surveillance cameras destroyed, and Luna had long since disappeared. He was nearly driven mad with anxiety, frantically shaking the unconscious butler and shouting at him, demanding to know what had happened. The butler was jolted awake by his violent shaking. "Sir, it was your uncle. He led the men who broke in and took the lady away." Cliff at this moment wished he could tear his uncle apart with his teeth. He immediately ordered the city's transportation to be locked down, but it was already too late. By now, Luna had already left the country on a private jet. After a full day of flying, the plane landed in a small town abroad. Darcy had already arranged for a house and acquaintances here. Luna settled in. It's been 5 days already. Everything that needed to be taken care of has been taken care of. Why haven't you left yet? Darcy was taken aback. This was already the 8th time Luna had tried to shoo him away. I just wanted to wait until you got used to the environment here before. I'm already very familiar with this place, no need for your concern. Luna locked the door, preparing to head to a nearby restaurant for a meal. I appreciate your help, but I've saved you before too. From now on, we're even, of course. If you'd like, I can treat you to a meal before you leave. Darcy lowered his head dejectedly. Do you really dislike me that much? Luna smiled. I thought I'd made it pretty obvious. She never wanted to have anything to do with the Colton family men ever again in her life. Darcy gave a bitter smile. I'm leaving this afternoon. Then, have a safe trip. Luna had lived in this small town for 3 years. Over these 3 years, she developed several highly successful tech products and founded her own company. However, since she couldn't appear publicly, all the companies were registered under Paula's name. Darcy would occasionally send various gifts. Sometimes it was a gemstone, sometimes a fallen leaf, or a few feathers of unusual colors. During holidays, even though he knew Luna didn't welcome him, he would still come. He likes Luna, it's obvious to everyone. Luna can see it too. But she had no interest in diving into another uncertain relationship. She thought moving forward alone was just fine. No need for another companion. On the 3rd New Year, she seriously rejected Darcy. As the 4th New Year approached, Luna unexpectedly received news of Cliff, but it was news of his death. All these years, he had been frantically searching everywhere for Luna's traces, but with Darcy obstructing him, he couldn't find any leads. Cliff gradually descended into madness. In the previous years, he had stormed into Darcy's office with a knife, nearly stabbing him to death. Apart from being unable to find Luna, he often couldn't sleep all night. The moment he closed his eyes, Novia and the 2 children would appear in his dreams every night, covered in blood, staring at him with wide eyes, silent. I don't know if this was retribution or the guilt from his unextinguished conscience. Over time, he developed severe depression, and a few days ago, he held the wedding photo with Luna and jumped from the top of the company building. Luna returned to the country to attend his funeral. The pastor read the suicide note Cliff left behind, which was very brief. At the moment of infidelity, I thought I had merely committed a trivial mistake that could be concealed, but it turned out that my entire life was ruined by myself from that very moment. I'm sorry, the departed is gone, and grievances have vanished like smoke. Luna now recalls the moment when the 18-year-old Cliff, blushing, stood before her and said, "Hello, classmate, could we exchange contact information?" Back then, the sunlight was just right, casting its glow on his profile, just as now. The light gently rests upon his coffin. The end.